Greetings, everybody. Jeff Shore here. I want to do something a little different and a little special with the 5-minute sales training. For the next 4 Saturdays, the 5-minute sales training lessons will be taken directly from the work that my team did at last month's Sales and Marketing Summit in Nashville. The summit is our big event every year. This year in Nashville, we had around 650 sales and marketing professionals from all around the world that came to experience that, and I'm very happy to share some of it with you. We're going to start with a selection from my opening keynote speech about home builders and salespeople can maximize revenue on every sale. To do so, we're going to take a look at what I call the revenue formula. There's a formula that I've been teaching for years. People in my roundtable know this formula quite well, that helps us to figure out how we raise revenue within the organization. And that formula has 3 variables to it. You might look at those 3 variables as levers to be moved in order to affect the total revenue. So the formula, just throw it out there. It looks like this: revenue equals price times traffic times conversion. That's what revenue is. Revenue is your price times your traffic units times your conversion rate. You put those 3 things together, you get your revenue. Let's test it out. Several years ago, my brother and I attended the Indianapolis 500. We attended the Indy 500. The Brickyard, as it is called, is spectacular to see. It is massive. It is massive. Words cannot describe it. I can tell you this. Inside the oval of the racetrack itself, you could fit inside the track Liberty Island, the Roman Coliseum, Yankee Stadium, the Taj Mahal, the White House, the Rose Bowl, the Churchill Downs racetrack, and the entirety of Vatican City, all inside the oval. 250,000 people attend this event. The other thing I can tell you about the Indy 500 is the parking is atrocious. It's really, really bad. So you're basically walking through neighborhoods for quite a distance in order to get there. Now, as it turns out, the year that we went, it was the hottest race day on record. It was blazing, blazing hot. And after the race, we're walking through a neighborhood to head back to our car. Sweltering heat, and we were dry. And then we saw this guy. Okay, then we saw this guy. Now, you want to talk about a brisk business. All you need to do is look at the revenue formula. Price times traffic times conversion. So first of all, the guy's charging $1 for a cold bottle of water to people who are very thirsty. How are we doing so far? Price is right, okay? How about traffic? Well, let's think about tens of thousands of very thirsty people who had all been drinking too much. Good on the traffic? How about conversion? The entire time that I watched him there was somebody waiting. He was selling as fast as he could collect $1 and take another water out of the ice chest. And by the way, there was about a 300% margin on his Costco model. The guy did great. The formula holds up very, very well across the board. But that's it. If you want more revenue, you have to attack one of the levers. So let's dive deeper. Let's talk about those levers. We're going to start with price. We're going to talk about price a lot in the next couple of days because it is the key revenue driver for us. To builders, we recognize price as the base price, the options, the premiums, but to the buyer, it means something very different. From the buyer's perception, the simplest way to look at it is this, is that price equals the perception of value. That's what price is. So that perception of value addresses price, payment, rate, service, all of those things. But the biggest perception of value comes in the answer to a very, very important question that the buyer is always asking, at least as a subliminal basis. And I really want you to get your head around this because it's a very, very important question. Your buyer is asking before they decide to buy. They're asking the question, what kind of life will I live if I purchase this home? This is a very, very important psychological question that grounds that buyer right from the very beginning. What will my life look like if I buy this home? And you'll learn on day 1 of your Psych 101 class that people make decisions according to the expected outcomes. So this is what our customers are doing. They're asking themselves the question, what will my life look like? It is our task to show them that promise. Now, Shore Consulting training clients are going to tell you that we look at everything through the lens of the buyer. It's what we do. And what does the buyer really want to know? Well, if I'm a buyer, I'm thinking that the better my overall quality of life, the more I'm willing to pay for it. I'm going to go deeper into that price discussion in our next segment. So let's move on to traffic. Now, at the core level, traffic is about seeing enough of the right people. We know this. But that's more of the end goal as opposed to the strategy that's going to get us here. And that's where marketing comes into play. That's where marketing absolutely shines. This is first really about knowing the market well enough to target the right buyer segment in the right way with the right message. And that's why this is now the Sales and Marketing Summit. Because when you think about traffic generation is a deeply psychological exercise. Great marketers are students both of human motivation and human aspiration. I often talk about builders needing to get more than their fair share of sales. Well, for marketers, great marketing is about getting more than your fair share of attention. And Molly Elkman will be out in a little bit to talk about how we can see the community through the eyes of the right buyer. All right, check the price box, check the traffic box. Let's talk about conversion. And this is where it gets a little sticky, and I'm going to risk offending some of you. But I'm very concerned that the downturn of Q3 and Q4 of 2022 rebounded too quickly. Let me put that another way. Do you remember that there was a downturn in Q3 and Q4 of 2022? There was a lot of panic going on a year ago this time, and I am concerned that we rebounded too quickly. The market simply wasn't down long enough to expose the flaws, especially the flaws in the sales presentation and in the salespeople themselves. So poor performers have been allowed to sort of skate on through masquerading as top performers based on the sales numbers, while the market truly handles the conversion efforts. And we're going to talk more about this as we address our focus on behaviors and not just on the end result. So let's just put a little test, though, out there for you sales leaders. How confident are you in the ability of your lowest performer to convert a sale? Not to let the market convert a sale, but for an influence practitioner to guide that customer deftly down that path to purchase. So let me reiterate that we have to assess all three of these variables through the eyes of our buyer. And you have to ask yourself, where does the buyer fit into each of those three elements? Because when it comes to price, value is only value if the buyer says it's value. Or to put it another way, value is a buyer word, not a seller word. When it comes to traffic, what is the compelling reason to invest time and mental energy into investigating this community? And when it comes to conversion, what is it about this community that offers it to be the best option for my life right now? Now, I want you to notice something else about the formula. I want you to notice how much of this is dependent upon the buyer's perception. Because you can't convert an unwilling buyer. We know this. You can have a great home and the wrong price, and you're going to lose the deal. You can't sell to people who don't want to consider visiting your community in the first place. Well, I hope you enjoyed that small taste of what we did at Summit 2023. And if you're in sales or marketing leadership or hope to join the ranks of management soon, click on the description of this video to join our interest list for our Sales and Marketing Summit 2024. We'll keep you in the loop on all our plans for next summer. But until next time, learn more, to earn more.